It's 5:45 p.m., which means it's time for BCTV's Nightly News Roundup. I'm Roland Boyden alongside Joe Bushy. That makes this show 5:45 live. Tonight we got a show of serious matters. We'll talk about the tragedy in Walpole coming up with a 14-year-old boy. There, of course, the seventh man was caught in the now infamous burglary ring, and the Hinsdale fire chief charged with aggravated drunk driving. All that and more, and remember, we do it all in 15 minutes, so make sure you stick with us here on 5:45 Live.
There isn't a Vermonter among us who's not touched by the 100 Vermonters who take their lives each year. I know that there's nothing more painful for a family and friends to deal with. We had 9 young Vermonters take their lives last year. I don't think that any of us escaped this epidemic without it touching us or our families in some way.
Welcome back to this February 10th, 2012 edition of 5:45 Live. I'm Roland Boyden, sitting alongside Joe Bushy. We've got another 15 minutes of your time, hopefully, here to go over some of the stories. That's footage of Governor Shumlin on Wednesday unveiling his administration's plan to join forces with the Vermont Suicide Prevention Coalition to take on what he calls an epidemic. In his speech, Shumlin cited the more than 100 reported suicides in Vermont last year, and now across the river, one more can be added. Law enforcement reported at a press conference in Walpole earlier today tragic news that an unidentified 14-year-old student of the Walpole Elementary School suffered severe injuries from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Teachers and students alike are speculating was in fact a suicide attempt. The shot was fired at roughly 11 a.m. today in front of nearly 70 people in the school's crowded cafeteria. At the press conference, school principal Sam Jacobs talked about the effect.
Did you hear the shot, sir?
I was there.
You were in the room?
Yeah.
And how did the kids react?
Well, it's shock.
If you or someone you know is at risk, you can speak directly to a crisis counselor by calling the local hotline at 802-257-7989 or the national numbers 1-800-SUICIDE or 1-800-273-TALK.
All right, well, and the word at that point during that press conference was that the student who sustained the injury had been airlifted out of there, and there's no word yet on his condition. All right, Joe, I'll turn it back over to you.
For sure.
Indeed.
Well, the lone suspect previously undetained in the now infamous burglary case revealed by Vermont State Police on Monday was arrested Tuesday in Keene. At age 21, Logan Critchfield was the oldest of the 7 men police believe are responsible for more than 100 burglaries in 5 states and dozens of local towns. At Monday's press conference, Deputy District Attorney Steve Brown discussed the massive interagency effort involved in the case, which brought it to this point.
In October of 2011, at the direction of the Windham County State's Attorney, I moved to organize an information sharing meeting regarding these burglaries between the various law enforcement agencies. The working group of investigators began working together on these burglaries, sharing information, intelligence on MO, time and day, and other factors.
In addition, police have charged 23-year-old William Monty with hindering apprehension after Critchfield was discovered at his apartment. All right, next, Hinsdale Fire Chief Robert J. Johnson will serve 3 days in a detention center and have his driver's license criminally suspended for 18 months after he pled guilty to an aggravated drunk driving charge stemming from his December 16th arrest after he crashed his GMC pickup into a utility pole.
According to the Center for Disease Control's most recent study, more than 11,000 Americans die each year in drunk driving accidents, approximately 1 fatality every 50 minutes. The average drunk driver will drive under the influence more than 80 times before the first arrest. Don't be that driver.
Johnson will serve 7 days at the Multiple Offender Intervention Detention Center as stipulated by his sentencing. According to Hinsdale Police, he had a blood alcohol content of 0.2, 125% over the legal limit.
All right, next, former Vernon Police Chief Kevin Turnley is taking his wrongful termination suit against the town of Vernon to the Vermont Supreme Court, claiming, among other things, that the Vernon Select Board violated open meeting law by using executive sessions to micromanage his department.
In 2011, the Vernon Select Board entered executive session averaging more than once a regularly scheduled meeting, despite declaring no decisions reached by year's end.
Can I
get a contractual executive session?
Oh, I move that we go into executive session with,
No, just us.
I move that we go into executive session on a contractual matter, the disclosure of which at this time might be detrimental to the town and/or individuals, companies, or companies involved.
Second?
I'm not seconding it.
All Vernon Select Board meetings can be viewed on BCTV's video on demand, brattleboro.tv.org. You can check out the Government and Municipal Archive there as well to catch up. All right, Joe, before we move on, I want to talk Harris Hill for a second because you were out there filming the snowmaking courtesy of Mount Snow. They're trying to pump up. Obviously, the weather has not cooperated getting that ski jump some snow for the big event, but
No, it isn't. From what I understood from speaking with the gentleman the other day, it's just windy enough to where it's working against them. You can see in the shots down here the snowmaking. Is they have to have it up high enough so that the snow will come out, and yet once it's up just so high, the wind catches it and takes it everywhere. So it's not that it's it's not that they're not trying to get it on the hill, but the winds want to take it everywhere. So hopefully the conditions will continue to stay cold at night. We're definitely going to have a cold snap over the weekend, and next week it looks like it'll warm up a little bit, but again back into the teens and 20s overnight so that they can continue to make snow, and hopefully it'll be snowy enough for the jump on the following Saturday and Sunday. So.
there you go. We'll continue to make our own hype for it as the show continues. Hopefully, get some interviews.
We'll get someone live next week for sure from Harris Hill to give us
Absolutely.
an update on the slopes, its conditions, and everything that's going on down there. So,
All
look
right.
forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. We got to do our high-tech traffic report. You're looking at downtown Brattleboro, and it's roads and the color code for exactly what's happening up on the screen behind us. We're going to do our traffic report, and then we've also got some information provided to us by 545 Live content specialist Deborah Lazar earlier today, who's been out on the road. So
One side's clear.
look at that. For maybe the first time since we began our high-tech traffic report, areas of the strip between High Street and Canal Street are actually clear, and by clear, that orange actually means it's moving under 25 miles an hour, congested but moving, and of course, you got half the road there, as it often is, at standstill traffic. Looks like aside from the Rotary, Putney Road, Western Ave, Canal Street, and the Franklin Pierce Highway going out through New Hampshire are all heavily congested but moving, and 91 traffickers are good to go. Though, as I mentioned, senior news correspondent for 545 Live, senior traffic news correspondent Deborah Lazar had a couple things for us. She mentioned that while construction has wrapped up on I-91 northbound between exits 1 and 2, signs directing motorists to merge into one lane remain, and in the last couple days there's been surveying on I-91 southbound between exits 3 and 2, and that's slowed down 91 traffic goers in the other direction as well. All right, that's our high-tech traffic report powered by Inrix and Beat the Traffic. Before we wrap up this show here for good today and enjoy the weekend, which I'm looking forward to, let's.
sure.
You started doing a little weather report as we started talking about fake snow for Harris Hill. Maybe I can get you to.
You see, you're looking
do
at
the
it just
official-
right there now. We've got a little bit coming in today and tomorrow. They were saying an inch or two, and now they're down to just barely an inch. And we're looking at hopefully next weekend going into the jump. It looks like we could have some snow. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's.
That stretch of 40s doesn't look promising, but it'll be nice weather to work during the day, and cold enough at night, hopefully, for them to keep making snow. So
There you go. That's our weather report as well. I think that's about all we have to do here, Joe. But before we wrap up, I just want to mention a few more things, like the fact that Kids Place is hosting a Valentine's Day card-making workshop from 1 to 5 p.m. at Elliott Street, their place below Hotel Pharmacy there. And also, speaking of skiing, the Memorial Park slopes with lift rides running from 10 to 4 tomorrow and noon to 4 on Sunday will be open.
all right, and catch the full broadcast of this morning's BUHS TV at 6:30 p.m. right here on Channel 8, or tune into Channel 10 tomorrow at 8:45 for a replay of Tuesday's Brattleboro Select Board meeting.
All right, that's about all for us. I'll do what we often do, Joe. Maybe I can get you to do the little outro tag for BCTV.
For
thing.
BCTV and 545 Live, Joe Bushy and Roland Boyden, let us know what you think, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
All right, good night, everybody. Stay safe over the weekend. We'll see you on Monday.